What's going on, everybody? Israel Galindo here with Advanced Networks. Wanted to just go over a quick video in regards to phishing, spoofing, and impersonation. What does that really mean to you? Well, imagine this. Imagine you working at the company and you get an email from a coworker, a boss, a manager that asks you to do something like, hey, I don't have internet, but can you go to Target and buy $100 or $800 worth of gift cards and then just send me the codes? Well, that's not something that your manager probably asks you. That means that they have been impersonated. What that really means is there's an attacker out there that took the name of whoever sent you the message, masked a fake email address with that name. Think of it like caller ID, right? You see a number come in and it says Israel Galindo. But if somebody was to hack my number and they use a different number and it says Israel Galindo, there it is your phishing, your spoof, your impersonation. That being said, I just want to go through right now the things that you should always look out for. Number one, if a boss ever asks you to run an errand like that because they have no internet and they're in the car and they want you to rush out and buy $1,000 worth of gift cards and send them the code via text, I would call that person on the phone and ask them, did you just really send me that? Because that doesn't sound like something you would do. Believe it or not, I've actually had customers follow through with that and go, yeah. Where do you want me to send you the codes? Oh, you want me to text you that? Yeah, just put it on my card, pay me later. And these hackers have your money. And this is what happens. So if you're an administrator, if you're IT, and if you need to lock these things down on Microsoft 365 Admin Center, I'm going to walk you through how to do that. Let me switch screens really quick here, and then I'll take you through it. All right, let's see here. Let's go to, I think I'll take it to this screen right here. Okay, so basically what we're going to do here is we're going to go and log into the admin center. That's the login.microsoft online admin center. Once you're in the admin center, if you don't have the admin center expanded, you're going to see expand now, and then you'll see all of the items. But most of the time, you'll see something like, let me go back to the screen to show you. Let me shrink this down so we can see the full screen. There we go, that's good enough. Okay, let's get the mouse over on that third screen. So basically, it's going to look like this. This is your home screen. If you scroll down, you're going to look for Security Center. Once you're in the Security Center, there's two ways to go about it. The easiest way is just creating a new phishing, anti-phishing rule, which you're not really going to create one unless you don't have one. But what we're going to do is that's the fastest way to get there. Second way to get there is by hitting threat management and then going through those menus as well. But like I said, the fastest way to go to it on the main dashboard of security, if you're going to scroll down to new anti-phishing policy. When you go to the anti-phishing policy, that's going to take you to the security centers, security.microsoft.com anti-phishing. It's basically, so if you want to URL that, save it, save that link. Microsoft seems to keep those pretty good as far as keeping those URLs in order. So once we've got into this, let me kind of break something down for you. When you buy a domain the first time, and let's just say you're moving it from someplace else, Microsoft recognizes that that domain is bought somewhere else. So in other words, if I have mydomain.com somewhere and I move it to Microsoft, Microsoft creates one called mydomain.onmicrosoft.com. That becomes my primary. Once I move my data over and I use mydomain.com, that becomes my custom or my secondary. So reason why I'm bringing this up is when you create the rule and you run it and things get through and you're like, hey, Israel, it didn't work for me. That's because it defaults to the mydomain.onmicrosoft.com and you have to add the secondary custom domain, which is yours. Now, if you bought your domain directly from Microsoft and it never existed, most likely you won't have the .onmicrosoft.com. It'll just be the mydomain.com. And in that sense, then go right ahead and do that as your primary. But I want to kind of point that out to you. So one of the things we're going to do here is we're just going to start with the current one that Microsoft gives you. And I'm going to take you through some of those steps. At the same time, also, if you don't have one here, you can just create a new one, go through the wizard, and I'm going to kind of take you through some of those items in there. Let me open up a guide that I wanted to kind of bring this up in regards to the different types of anti-phishing that we've got on here, only because there is an explanation on the first one, which is your standard. And I just kind of want to take you through those docs. Okay, so, all right, so the standard threshold, everything is a threshold with Microsoft. It's like a gauge. It's gauging when the email comes in, it's checking headers, it's getting demarcs, it's checking all of these things. By the standard rules, it says if this is impersonated, by default, get rid of it, move it to my deleted items, and so on. That's by default. You can get more aggressive with that. You can go hardcore aggressive. I mean, there's so many things you can do in regards to how far you want to go with that security. Some of the policies that I have seen as well have been aggressive, very aggressive, extremely aggressive policies. And those are the ones that you want to kind of take a look at and defaulted by your scenario, your environment, basically. For us, I would just suggest now leave it on standard and then start adding the extra filters and rules that need to be added to this rule. So we're just going to go in here. So description, you can have a description in there if you want that when you first set up the wizard on the rule. In order to modify any of these, I'm going to edit protection settings. That's basically what we're going to start with. And then I'm going to go to the top, and you're going to notice that this is your default standard. Again, the default value of the severity of the action that is taken on the message depends on the degree of confidence that the message is phishing. Low to medium, high, or very high confidence. That's your different levels. Again, we're going to stick to that. If you want to continue and see what the rest of them do, you can kind of go to aggressive, more aggressive, and most aggressive. And then you can see the rule factors that add on to that. That being said, we are now going to go in here, and it's basically going to start in the beginning. Now, impersonations right off the bat enable users to protect 350 types of impersonations. What does that mean? Well, you've got accounts that might be impersonated. CEO at mydomain.com, accounting at mydomain.com, human resources at mydomain.com. Those are more generic email boxes. So if you wanted to protect those kind of things, go ahead and check that box, which I'm going to do. And if you need to get more information, you can just go on here and you can see CEO, CFO, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So I'm going to check it. And it'll say manage 0 senders. Well, then it's going to go through. And if you want to click on that, you can add certain domains up to 350 internals and externals. So impersonations domains is going to be those types of accounts. I have a CEO at, I have a CFO at. So if you're going to do something like that, you can go in here and then you can do, CFO. And then you can add the value, whatever the value of that email address is, CFO at Advanced Networks, LC. Oops. So I'm going to go through, I can add that. I can do the same thing with CEO. And again, I would recommend adding the ones that maybe there's a human resources, etc. Okay, let me go and add that one. Okay, so now that I've added those, let me go down here. Okay. And then we're going to enable the domain to protect. Now, this is where I'm telling you that there is on Microsoft.com, and there's one that's just a domain at, So we're going to look at our domains right now, and we're going to see what the default domain is going to be, because custom domains is probably most likely going to be my domain. So I'm going to go in here, and it's going to take me to domains, and it's going to tell me what my domains are. Now, for this purpose, I am using a secondary domain that I've been using for a while. So let me go ahead and check it. I see both. I see my default, which is my company. That's going to be the main domain. And I see that on Microsoft.com as that one. Now, going back to the item, what I would suggest is make sure that they are protected. Just to be on the safe side, doesn't hurt. You can go here. You can do the custom domain. And then you can just add the domain that you think of is not being protected. Okay, so I'm just going to add it, although it's considered part of my main domain, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and hit add. So once those are protected, now it's protecting those domains. That's what you want to add as well. Add trusted senders and domains. So this is sending obviously outbound, right? Add trusted senders and domains so they are not flagged as impersonation-based attacks. So can you add trusted senders? Maybe you have somebody that sends stuff to you or certain domains. Think of it like a whitelist. Yeah, I'm not going to leave it like that because I don't really have any trusted senders. Anybody can be a hacker to me. So enable mailbox intelligence. So this is obviously checking AI with the patterns. Again, if somebody impersonated my CFO, hey Israel, it's Jennifer. I'm on the road. I don't have internet. Hey, can you go to Best Buy and pick up 18 gift cards for $1,000 piece, and then I'll pay you when I get back? Not something my CFO would actually say to me. So I'm gonna basically say so it learns. And then I'm also going to enable intelligence from impersonation protection. That's what I'm going to do on that one. Next after that, spoofing is already checked. So spoofing, if you look at this, it's filtering any spoof domains. Anybody that tries to pretend to be your domain, that's, spoofing it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, so I got my descriptions, got all the informations on there. Everything's on here. Now this is going to be going into action. So we're going to go into action so I can tell you to see what you're going to do with them. What happens when something gets spoofed, right? So if we'll start at the top, if the message is detected as an impersonated user, what happens? What do? Something is detected as a spoof. Don't apply any action, don't apply any action. Well, if I detect something as spoofed, you can redirect it to another email address, you can move it, you can quarantine it, you can delete the message before it's even delivered. You can quarantine the message. For me, I don't want my people touching it. Delete the message before it's even delivered. Just get rid of it, If the message is detected as an impersonated domain, so it detects, Microsoft.com is an impersonated domain. I don't want to deliver it. Well, what if just that one user of that domain is impersonated? So what would you do on something like that? On that one, move it to the junk email, move it to the quarantine, delete the message before it's delivered, don't apply any action. On that one, I mean, that's a 50-50. I would probably say delete it or quarantine it. One of the two. You want to do one of the two. So you really don't want any interaction with the users on this domain. So if a message is detected as an impersonated domain, delete the message before it even comes in. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Besides, this is my domain. Second one, if you don't want to do that or you're unsure, you know what? Move it to the junk folder, put it there, or quarantine the message. Do that, for now. I'm just going to delete it. I don't really want it in my system. If the mailbox intelligence detects an impersonated user, this is AI understanding that a robot's trying to, talk to whoever your employees are. What are you going to do? Well, again, delete the message. Then again, this is for my domain. Yours could be different. You could quarantine it and so on. If a message is detected as a spoof, somebody hacked it. It's spoofing the message, right? What do you want to do it? Move message to recipient's junk mail. Let's just send it to junk mail. That's fine. And then safety tips and indicators. These are really just to help you. Do you need them? Do you not need them? Are they recommended? You know what? Show me the first safety tip that comes up. In case there's a security risk, just show it to me. I'm cool with the tips. I'm okay with that. If you don't need the tips, you don't need them to turn on. Show me impersonated safety, domain impersonation. Show me, again, these are just tips. I turn them on. I like to see them. I like to get schooled and educated. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save on that. Now you can see now it's on impersonation protection. I'm going to modify something in here for a minute because I really want to kind of show you guys something. And then trusted impersonation, senders and domains, I have that off. Mailbox is on, mailbox is on, mailbox is on. And as you can see, here we go, is the on action. So anyways, the reason why I want to modify one thing on here, let me go back up to the two senders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, actually, I think I could do it from here. Because I know that my account gets personated a lot. So yeah, it's gonna let me do it that way. Okay, I'll just do it this way. Okay, it's real Galindo, and then I'll do Jennifer Galindo. Rule of thumb, if you can look at your logs to see who's been impersonated in the past with Barracuda or anything else, then you can kind of understand which ones get impersonated a lot, and then add them to that system so it knows to look for those right off the bat. So, all right, let me go ahead and close that. All right, so my rule is on. That's my default rule on there. More actions on here. You can enable, disable the rules, delete the rules, etc. But these again is my default phishing rule. You can create multiple rules for different things. Maybe you have multiple domains, etc. But as you can see, it's very important. Now, right now, it's scanning zero impersonated domains and users. And then you can do view impersonations, and then it's going to take you to a report that's going to look at your domain insights and then give you the insights. It's very important for you to always look at the insights, especially with 365, what they give you, because it's going to really take you to really good reports on things of threat policies, etc. So we don't have any data right now because we just really set up that rule. But once we do, we can look at that. You can go real-time detections and these items here and take a look at those types of things that are here. So here's my sender. You can put it on there. You can see if there's any detection with anything going on, and so on and so on. There's a couple of scans happening. Yeah, and then very important, just remember to always check the reports. Reports are very important. Here's a security report. Here's an elaboration report. Exchange, how it flows. Maybe there's something breaking as you're sending or receiving emails. You can look at that. But very important to always look at these reports, because the data is going to be key for you to understand that I haven't ran this report, so I have to generate this guy. But it's still loading. But it'll show me, anybody that's got any types of security detections, any systems with device issues, and so on. Really, it's all part of the Defender plan that you've got with Microsoft 365 Defender. I know that if you want to take it to the user level from the cloud level, you gotta buy a Defender license endpoint. But if you're just using it for a direct access to Cloud 365, basically you've got the license for that. So okay, again, let me know if you have any questions on that, or if you get stuck on anything, happy to help.